Sure, because I don't see it too.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the special meeting of the Board of Selectmen for Thursday, November 14th, 2024. It is now 4:30 p.m. Can we begin with a pledge of allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Correspondence. We have one item that I've just handed out. Basically, we received a letter from Votra and Associates, attorneys at law, dated November 12th. Basically outlines that there's a standing for the Fairfield County Agricultural Extension Council with the Stony Hill Preserve and challenging the transfer. We could talk a little more about this when we get to that part of our agenda, but that is the only correspondence. Am I correct on that, Mary?
You are correct.
Okay. I move that we consider, I move that we approve the Board of Selectmen special meeting minutes from November 5th, 2024. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Old business. Okay. This is old business because we've talked about Parloa along the way. We are talking about the consideration approval of funds for the state of Connecticut for renovations in Parloa Park. We finally received a grant for $500,000 to be put towards Parloa Park. When we applied for the grant under the Urban Act grant or the Urban Act program, we agreed that we do a matching of $500,000 from the town side. Excellent opportunity for the town. You want to say anything about the grant before we move on with resolutions?
We were very happy to get the grant, and I was very stressed because when we originally got it, it said December 1st, we had to get them all our information. I think we got the grant November 1st. That was extremely stressful, but speaking to the state, she kind of alleviated my stress with saying they've had people that have had grants for 2 years that still haven't gotten them the information. I said, that's not going to be us because we're ready. We've got plans. We're hoping we have new site plans ready for next week, and we hope we can move forward. And obviously, depending on where the other monies come from, that'll just put a timeline. If it is ARPA funds, we'd have to get those spent by the end of December. But I think based on construction plans that we'll have, that's not going to be hard for the basic things. And then we can take our time with the grant money that we got from the state in order to really dress up Parloa into something really positive for the community. So.
Just a correction. It doesn't need to be spent by December 31st. It has to be
Invoice.
Yeah, it has to be like a PO, like a known vendor. So we don't actually have to spend it by December 31st, but we need to have the known vendor and what we're spending it on.
Mm-hmm. Any and the just for that, it's going to be SLR is working on it.
SLR is doing the architectural designs.
Okay.
And then depending on what we need to do to get those POs, we already do have 20,000 would be allocated to revamping the bathrooms, which we already had gotten a number from Steve DeMarco. So little things, some of that will also be, which I think is coming up, the remaining bulk of the contract for SLR. They've been doing a lot of work for us since day one that they actually haven't charged us for. So this is a new contract that they sent to us this month for the new plans that they're doing, which they did for us at no cost in August. So it's been a very long process because we've gone through so many different tries at grants. So the $2.5 million project is now $1 million project. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll have two resolutions that I'll read this is just for the acceptance of the Urban Act grant. And the resolutions will be resolved that the town of Bethel may enter into and deliver to the state of Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection any and all documents which it deems to be necessary or appropriate for a grant of $500,000 for the improvements to Parloa Park. Further resolved that Daniel E. Carter, as first selectman of the town of Bethel, is authorized and directed to execute and deliver any and all documents on behalf of the town of Bethel, and to do so, and to do and perform all acts and things which he deems to be necessary or appropriate to carry out the terms of such documents. I would accept a motion to approve those as read.
Second.
You'll say move?
I'll move.
Because
All right.
Brian will second. Any further discussion on the grant? See none, I'll try your minds to approve the resolution. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so next is the consideration of ARPA funds for Parloa Park. As we've talked about before, I do have a list of ARPA in there. We had set aside $500,000 towards the project. At one time, we thought we would just be doing that, but it looks now like a $1 million project, which is fabulous. That would leave the, let's see, I have the right allocation here. I mean, basically, we have about 200 and some odd $1,000 left after this that we'll be talking about for ARPA. So with that, I will move that we allocate $500,000 of ARPA funds for the improvements at Parloa Park.
Second.
A second from Brian. Any further discussion?
Yes. Is there any money set aside for the other parking lot?
There has not been,
No.
not yet, no. I think that's something.
Unfortunately, Rich, we're not including the photo that was placed online that has a redone parking lot was a $2.5 million project.
Yeah.
So we're not including that in this million because we'd like to sort of beautify the inside of the park, which will include like a handicap ramp, stroller ramps, new stairs, upgraded playground equipment for throughout, and then
Could I amend your motion to add another $50,000 at least to create some type of parking on the new property that we bought? The trees need to be cut down and they could dig it out and put palings
mow
in.
it.
And
You mean the one across the street?
talking about
Yeah,
across the street, yeah.
Well, I think it's worth some discussion because the question is, do we really need that parking lot? Yeah, like once we redo this thing, we may need that parking. But until it's redone, do we really, and we'll have to have POs and everything to do that. We'll have to have somebody already set up to do that.
Yeah.
Before the end of December.
Are you redoing the parking lot?
That is not part of this project at this time.
We don't want that
That's
for it.
adjacent to it.
We're not redoing any parking lots right now. It's not part of this
You're just
project.
beautifying it.
Originally, the $2.5 million project did include a
Yeah.
revamp of the current parking lot, which will not be happening because we don't want.
But listen, it is going to be important at some point that once the park is redesigned and we have more people coming there, we eventually are going to have to do the park. Right. There's no question.
Let me,
Yeah.
Brad.
Yes.
I thought it was my understanding, as long as the money was allocated, that we didn't have to have an actual PO or bid for.
Yeah, so that was
is
our
that wrong?
early understanding was, but then they changed the language in there. It says it's not allocated, and I can't pull the actual word right now. It needs to be, it's appropriated. So you can't, it has to be like appropriated. That means like you have to have a vendor in mind. You have to like have a PO. So initially we thought you could just go December 31st. Yeah, 100 grand towards this. Nope, it has to be, here's the vendor it's going to go to. And then the 2 years we have to spend it is just built out in case it takes 2 years to get parts and stuff in, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I don't think you could do, I understand at some point we should do that. It'd be great to use this money. I think given the timeline, I don't think you can really do much with that parking lot at this point, especially
It
being
may be-
November.
Yeah, it may be something that we can, I mean, listen, I think we can do in-house with hopefully road savings or something one of these days. Yeah, it'll take a little more for the one across the street.
Yeah.
I think we have to do the one next to it
I
first.
think
and
you
then
do
do
these
the one across the
ones
street.
first and then worry about the new.
Yeah, we might be able to
Yeah,
do something. else.
You probably would want to do both at the same time, because if you're gonna, and you're
Yeah.
probably gonna have to talk to the highway department to see when they're in the area, because the
Yeah.
price to do a small parking lot would be way higher if they have to mobilize there instead of just like there's 2 streets over and they move over and do it. Talking to Bob Dibble in the past, you won't usually do a small parking lot like that unless you're already in the area.
Yeah, okay, so, can you withdraw the amendments? We
Yep.
put forward, is that right?
Well, I never had a second, I have a second.
No, you didn't actually yet. Okay, fair enough. or not? Okay, so, motion on the floor.
Second.
Yeah, the vote, you had the motion for the second
Yeah,
already, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up, discussion of Stony Hill Preserve. This is really more of an update. There's no action to take. We received a favorable report from planning and zoning. As I mentioned earlier, we had through a title search last week and then through a letter 2 days ago, that mentioned, there's also another court case going on regarding property. So kind of where we stand now is we've spoken to, certainly Stony Hill Preserve. We spoke to Yukon, Charities, AG, Yukon lawyers. And we've had a chance to talk to some of the folks with the Fairfield County Agricultural Extension Council, who has this other suit. That's what the letter's about. The bottom line is, we'll pursue everything to kind of be in the wings should this opportunity come up, but we also have to wait for the other litigation to go through. And that's really all we kind of know now. Melanie, am I covering that pretty?
That's true. In our due diligence, we absolutely have to clear title before we
Right.
acquire property. So anything of record would have to be released either by judicial determination or settlement and withdraw. So it's just something we're watching.
Yep. So that's just kind of an update for us here. New business. Consideration offer funds for the purchase of senior center vehicle. This has been something on the senior center's list for some period of time. We were able to locate a Trailblazer. I think we have the invoice in the list. C1. There it is. Brad, any comments with respect to the Trailblazer? Muted, Brad.
Muted, Brad.
You didn't like, it's my 4th time doing one of these today and I should know by now, but, so it's a 2025, it would be factory built. And the reason to be factory built is because then we can get the state pricing on it, which takes it's on the bill. It's like $3,600 off. So we should get it in 2 to 4 months. They've been asking for it for a while. And to answer an earlier question, after the 500,000, right now, the available balance from ARPA left is 218,810. So, and obviously it's all got to be appropriated by the end of December. And there might be a little bit more that comes back from some of those open items, but because in the Board of Selectmen have actually approved everything but 14,000. But we know 204,000 of it can be reallocated because it came in under.
I think why does the senior center need a vehicle?
So one of the things they have, they have one senior center vehicle, which they use van to go around and pick up people. But they really have a need for a second smaller vehicle for sometimes the staff to be able to take people and go pick people up. In addition to the van, to the bus, whatever you call that thing. They've been asking for this for some period of time to have the ability to go and have sometimes 2 people out when they're busy. And they want something smaller.
They also have to, if they only have one person that they need to bring somewhere now, they have to take the van. Or if there's like 1 or 2 people, and I think some of the argument was it makes them a little leaner and meaner to be able to run a smaller vehicle if they only have 1 or 2 people that have appointments at that time. And a little less wear and tear on the van.
It's a genuine need. They've been asking for some period of time. I'm certainly in favor of providing it. Note that we also looked at an Equinox brought to us by the chief. A little bit more money. It's a little bit bigger, but certainly a little bit more money. So I think he's stuck with the Trailblazer. Yeah, appreciate that. Any further discussion? Okay. So I move that we appropriate the amount, I move that we allocate the amount of $23,327.40 to the purchase of a vehicle for the senior center, or out of ARPA for purchase of a vehicle for the senior center. For a second.
Second.
Okay, I'll trade minds all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. One opposed? And no sections. So much carries. Okay, so the next item up, we this started, we have some pretty significant issues with the carpeting in the back of the building, specifically in building and P and Z, where it's kind of come to the point where the carpet's a trip hazard. So we have a quote to go look at doing, if you see on the back, that some of that would be actual vinyl flooring in the front where the customers come in, and then replacing carpet in the back. That quote for just the back is $12,206. Now, I put this on the agenda from ARPA. Certainly, we could consider, asking Board of Finance for it if we think it should be out of CNR. We have a second quote, because it was mentioned about finance. If we have them at the same time, whether we would do the second floor of the building, and that is for finance, the hallway, and the 2 meeting rooms upstairs. That would be B and the conference room. And that's $16,900 for the whole upstairs. So I think the question is, open for discussion is this something that, I know the first part we need to handle right away. That's the 12,000, that's the building in the back, the upstairs, and then that would leave the only thing remaining carpet is in here, and the first selectman office and more of that, right? Yeah. What is this?
Is carpet at the back hallway.
Yeah. Has that been replaced from original?
Not at my time.
Okay. So we're chipping away, but I mean, listen, in this room, I think it's doing all right. My office is fine. The real trip hazard is the one in the back, probably saying it's coming undone. They've looked through it. There's no asbestos or anything like that. It always comes up as a question. So I think the question to the board is, do we use remaining ARPA funds for something like this, or do we try to pass it on to through CNR someday?
Well, I've always been to the understanding that it's a maintenance item and our funds should be used for the maintenance. So I would vote against using our funds for.
Any thoughts, Brian?
I would like to see what the rest of what's the total that we're trying to approve tonight?
The total would be either one or both of these.
No, I'm talking about the remaining items on ARPA.
The remaining items.
What's the total that's why I didn't want to talk about the bid. I was trying to
Yeah.
ask what the total is
Well-
we're gonna approve tonight.
Well, right now, the total would be what we just approved. These and then the police vehicle, which is, I have the two in here. Right now, so Brad, we have $218,810, right? Is what would,
That was before the vehicle, so it's 195.5.
okay.
Okay. How much are the police modems?
So it's 32,000 plus installation, right? So it's $44,040. I have that right, Steve?
44.
Yep.
And there's nothing else with that?
Right now, there's nothing else unless we talk about these items. And then that would leave us with about $100,000. Yeah, if we decided to do the flooring, that would be in addition to this. But we don't have to do flooring tonight.
I'm not opposed. I mean, we've used ARPA funds.
Yeah.
For the schools, we've used ARPA
Well,
funds.
I think one of the things.
As long as we're on good, as long
Yeah.
as Brad says that we're not violating any rules by doing it, because
Yeah.
basically we have 30 something days left.
Well, one of the other things to think about too is that I know that our 460 account is in really terrible shape. We're about 10, I think we have 10 grand left, and we're in January. There could be some things in the 460 that we can look at that are more safety or capital related, and we could do that. Either in addition or in lieu. I think we were looking like 100,000, but we weren't there yet. Should we try to go to CNR for this and maybe do something to help that 460 account this year with things that are more like capital related, or say like we're in cameras? So
Well, I mean, I would recommend just tabling this, and in the first week of December at our first meeting, go through everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
we can approve
Bring
modems tonight,
Okay,
if that's a, specific need. And then whatever money we have left over,
Let's see,
we can go through the whole list and that way,
all right,
you know what I mean?
let's do that. Okay, so let's, I think that motion table, second.
Second.
All right, so we're gonna table that to the first meeting of December. Okay. Pardon me? Yeah, we'll be there. Okay. So we were talking about the modems for the police vehicles. Keith, you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, I'll try to make it as brief as possible. So I was planning on putting this into our capital for next year. However, over the last 3 or 4 months, we've had a lot of issues with our current modems. I believe they're about 17 years old. Yeah. So they're starting to shit the bed, so to speak. Excuse my language. Sorry, but they're starting to really give us headaches. We started looking at replacing some of them, and it's just come down to that we need to really resolve and get a better price when we do all at once. The installation's better all at once. State contract bid. Unfortunately, they are expensive, but it does bring us up to 5G capabilities. The speed's a lot better, the coverage is a lot better. And as I was explaining, they run our CAD system in our cruisers, also the cars that have the LPRs and some of the cameras as well. Not the right, but as you can see on the quote, the state contract pricing. And this is pretty much what we're going to do, what the town Wilson just went to. The town Newtown's going to be going to, talking with Newtown officers today. So everybody's going to this great building.
Does all your cars?
Was that? Yes.
Does all your cars?
All the cars have computers, like mine is on computer. Unmarked detect card.
Any car with a computer, it's gonna take.
Yes,
care of it.
correct. Yep.
Including our van.
Any questions? Yes.
Okay, you need how much, Steve? 42?
It's 44.
Yeah. $44,040. I'd like a motion.
I make a motion that we approve $44,040 for the purchase and installation of the police phones.
Second, Trayton,
Right?
From our.
From our- thank you. All right, any further discussion? Without trying minds, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
And, so consideration of bid waiver for Pearl Isle Park renovations. Basically, we've used SLR from the beginning. Rachel, you want to weigh in on that?
So we've used SLR from Eileen's time when this project first started at 2.5 million.
Yes.
They've done a lot of work for us. So the new contract is 66,000. We still have some left over from the original ARPA funds that were allocated back in 2022, I believe. So we need to take out of the 500 that we're using and pay off the extra 34,164.80. Because there's still a remaining balance of 31,835.20. Sorry, from the old monies that were allocated.
Okay. So well, with that part of it, we can clean up on the next meeting, just to make sure we have, I think it's not a thing, Brad, that you sent me. But as far as, the company, I think one of the issues is we're under the wire. They've done all the work, they've got all the plans.
So it's just a contract saying that,
Yeah.
yes, we're good, we can pay it. And I guess my only other question, not to extend this at all, is because that 500,000 from ARPA does need to be invoice PO'd. I'm assuming we need to go to a bid waiver for the,
That's what
a
we're-
bid.
We're doing a bid waiver right now.
For the 500.
This is a bid waiver.
Got it.
Yeah, she's talking about when the construction piece is gonna need a bid waiver in December.
Yeah.
But we need a contractor first.
Yes.
Correct.
So.
Right.
What's the bid waiver for that?
So
The bid
Brad,
waiver for the SLR.
for the SLR contract then.
Correct.
Okay,
Well, how much is that? You said like-
66,000 total.
Total is 66,000, but we still have some monies left over from the original allotted Parloa plan money from 2022. So we still have 31,835 left over. So we need to just, because the total is 66.
Well, I understand, I get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
My question is, how much is this whole project gonna cost, do you think?
We're gonna spend every single penny we can. of that million. If I could tell you.
But
that
32,000 that needs to go towards work that's already been done.
34, 164, 80 and 20 will not be part of the SLR project because 20 is the bathrooms. So about 54, 164 of the million will be some contractual to the design people and then to the bathroom renovation. The rest will go into construction and playground equipment, basketball court, things like that.
So it's a bid waivers for SLR for just the contract portion now, the
Correct.
66.
And then I'll probably have to come
Correct.
back in December for
the other.
to figure it out.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. So, I move that we waive the bidding process for the current SLR contract of $66,000+ for the Polo Park renovations. One second.
Second.
The reasons on the record.
Oh, that's right. I didn't write this down, but basically it's because we have a well-established relationship with the company that's been working on the project already. They own the designs or have the designs so far, and we're under a tight deadline now because of approval of the money. So those are really the three reasons for doing it. Thank you. Okay, with that, did I have a second on the
Second.
Okay, I'll try to mind all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Last up on the hit parade. As you may remember, we were looking at properties up in the northern end of town with respect to looking at salt in private wells. Basically, we've been working with DEEP at this point and moving forward. We're looking at a program to educate some of the residents to look at difference between road salt issues and whether there's water salt or salt issues. But basically, we need to kind of continue this along, which is going to continue the education piece, some money for meetings with DEEP, some education for the homeowners because of water softener issues. And then also eventually we're going to have to do some long-term testing as part of this. So we're looking at doing an additional service request with the original provider right now in the amount of around $22,500. So as we brought this before the Board of Selectmen last time, I'll do it now to make sure that we have approval to move forward.
We don't have a choice, right?
We don't have a choice. But
Let's just move the question.
yeah. But it is important that it's a way to update the things are moving along. It's pretty good. So, okay, so with that, I'll do the motion like we did before. I move that we approve an additional service request to educate and monitor regarding road salt and water softener salt in Bethel. Okay, and I'll try to mind all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So with that, I guess we either have 3 minutes or I can take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you,
We have
gentlemen.
new charcuterie board or sparkling spring water.
Well, I thought it would be nice that we have sundry